Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Good News. We are sitting down with Melinda over at Love Share, and she is here to share all the good that they are doing right now. So, Melinda, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your role over there, and what exactly Love Share is?
Sure. My name is Melinda Upchurch, and I am the founder and executive director of LoveShare. And what it is it's a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we partner with orphanages in 7 different countries to come
Wow.
alongside them to help raise tuition money to help pay for the kids to go to school. So how that came about was about 11 or 12 years ago, I was in an orphanage in Africa on a mission trip. And I noticed the kids walking back and forth in front of the gate in school uniforms. And so I asked, why are our kids not going to school? And the director of the orphanage informed me that really they were doing all they could do to give them food and shelter and clothing. And like they were just keeping them off the street and
Yeah.
doing the best they could. And they really could not afford to send them to school. And that's when it really hit me. And as a former teacher, I guess it really hit home hard because I realized quickly that these children had absolutely no chance of ever going to school because they didn't have a mom or a dad that could work and pay their tuition to go to school. So they were stuck in that poverty cycle. So our organization believes that you can break the poverty cycle through education.
Okay, that's awesome. And you said I don't want to skip past it. You said 7 different countries.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
We are
That's
in Belize, Brazil, India, Indonesia, Kenya, Uganda, and Haiti.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. That's kind of crazy to think about seven
It
different countries.
it is crazy. God is just amazing, and he's everywhere. He's all over
Yeah.
the world. He's not just in our tiny little town. And when I started just working with one orphanage in Kenya, and then that lady introduced me to someone else, and then they introduced me to someone else, and then I got connected with the ministry in India through my ministry in Kenya. It was just crazy the way
Wow.
it just all happened. And I just love to see how like God knits his people together. And even deeper than that, I guess I love watching worship in all those different countries. And
Mhm.
I get cold chills just thinking about it. And I know this is a little off topic, but I get cold chills just thinking about like this is what heaven is going to be like. Like people from all over the world with all different nationalities and languages just crying out to our Abba Father,
Yeah.
and worshiping him. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
Wow, that's amazing. Now with partnering with you partner with orphanages and help them have the funds to send the kids to school. So how exactly do you raise the money? So how do you go about doing that to support this?
We actually do that through people just like you, Christian. I mean, just people that want to help see these kids get an education. So, an elementary school child, it would cost about 500 US dollars to send an elementary child, and about $1,000 to send a high school or college kid to school for a year, and that includes room and board and their uniforms. But here in the United States, we're privileged that we do not have to pay for elementary, middle, high school. But in a lot of third world countries, they do have to pay for it. So what we do is we just try to get the word out to people about what we're doing, and I'm sure that you'll have a link posted up on the YouTube for people to click on. But we accept checks, cash. We have a we have a PayPal account, and then we're on all of the social media platforms. You can look for us on Instagram, Facebook at LoveShare.org. That's LoveShare.org.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. So how long have you guys been around now?
We have been around since 2014 was when we
Okay.
were actually got our nonprofit status. I was working and doing it prior to that, but we weren't official, I guess
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
say. We got our official stamp for nonprofit status in 2014.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's been what now, almost 8 years or 7 years?
Yes, yes, sir. And
Wow.
we've done lots of great things. Lots of kids have gone to school. We've seen many of our children graduate. We have a nurse in Kenya that's actually giving back to the orphanage and helping other kids to be able to go to school. So that's
Wow.
exciting to see that come full circle.
Yeah.
And then we also actually have one of our children from one of the orphanages here in the United States. She actually lives with me. She attends King University.
Oh
So
wow.
that is an ongoing thing that we are continually raising money for her tuition. Obviously, that's a much higher expense to pay
Yeah.
for a school in the United States than it is for a school out of country. But we're excited to be able to have her with us.
Yeah. Wow. That is really cool. So how do you know how many kids you now have took through school in the past, 6, 7 years? Do you have that
In
number by chance?
total,
Yeah, in
not
total.
off the top of not off the top of my head. I think we have about 200-ish
Wow.
kids
Yeah.
that we're able to help every year. And some years that number's more, and some years that number's less. And honestly, it's all based on funding. What comes in goes out pretty much immediately
Yeah.
in tuition. So that's how that works. We do impact many more children than that. When I travel, I do a lot of speaking engagements. I've done women's conferences and children's rallies or children's ministry conference things for
Mhm.
kids, and so we impact probably over 5,000 children
Wow.
total, but that's not all on a monetary basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That's still even the 200 or so kids a year is incredible. That's these kids that, wouldn't be able to get an education and like you said are kind of stuck in that poverty cycle because they just can't afford to get an education and try to get out. So that is good news. That is good news on something that you're doing here locally that's not just for here. This is you know in our community that is helping 7 other countries right now that are far less privileged than we are. So that's pretty amazing. Now I would love to hear some stories. Maybe if you have a few stories connect people so well that I would love to hear, a personal story of maybe a child that has been impacted because of your organization and that really just shows the mission and shows God's hand really working right now.
Absolutely. One of the favorite stories of mine is a young lady named Phyllis, and I met her when I was out on the mission field, and she expressed to me just extreme worry and grief. She was crying. She wanted to go to school so badly. And my heart just kind of broke for her because I could see how badly she wanted an education. And so we collectively worked together. We were able to fund her not only through elementary and high school, but we also funded her through college in
Wow.
the country that she lives in. And that was a beautiful thing. She's graduated. She works in the hotel industry now, and she checks in frequently and helps other kids as she can. So that is a super sweet story. And of course, we do have Ivy that lives with us here in the United States now,
Yeah.
which is another amazing story. And I won't share it in totality, but briefly, her school had burned, and all of her school records had burned. Everything that
Mhm.
she owned had burned, and she was battling demons. And when I say demons, I mean these are real, like nightmares, tremors. She was having a lot of problems, and the lady at the orphanage reached out and said, "Hey, I really think it would be a good idea if we could just pull her out of this place, out of this situation that she's in, and offer her some hope." And as we chatted more and more, we decided we would bring her here as an F1 student. So she has an F1 student visa, and so we were able to bring her. She lives with me. She's able to attend King University, and we're just blessed to have her. And she has really grown leaps and bounds since she has gotten here. And one of my favorite funny stories, I guess, on her, when she hears this, she'll probably kill me for telling this story. But she's the cutest little thing. And of course, there's not dishwashers in Kenya. So I actually don't even have a dishwasher in my house, because living in third world countries for so long, I just got used to not having one. And so I just hand wash my dishes.
Yeah.
And I had sent her to a friend's house, and she was staying a week, and she was helping around the house. And my friend said, will you load the dishwasher and start it? And she was like, sure. So, of course, she loaded all the dishes in there, and she put dish soap in it, which is what we wash the dishes with. I know, you can just imagine what happened next. Suds all over the kitchen floor. She called me in tears. She was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know there was different soap. But it was the cutest thing. So she's learned a lot about American culture and the way we do things.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So how long have you had her over now?
She came July year before last. So I've had her about a year and a half now, I guess.
Okay. Awesome. That's so cool.
She graduated high school here at Tri-Cities Christian Academy, and then she's a freshman this year at King University.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that though, because it's not just, helping financially, having like, hey, you need this amount of money to go to school. That's awesome. Here you go. But you're really going above and beyond. You're living the mission of like, hey, she needed to get out of the situation she was in, and you said, well, come on over. Just the very short trip to come over to the United States. So
we actually are working with two other young ladies that live in Belize. We have a friend that is a physician's assistant that wants to bring them over, and he's going to house them. I can't house them all at my house. If I could, I would bring them all, but I can't. So it's actually better if we pay for a tuition in their own country, so that they get their own culture and that kind of thing. But we do have two young ladies from Belize that we are working on currently to bring.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. I love that. So now with what you were doing, so you just go off of donations. Do you do like fundraisers or just, just ask like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Do you want to partner with us? How do you usually go about doing that?
So a lot of times people will ask me to come and speak to like their churches or their small groups or things like that. And they will do like a love offering.
Okay.
At something like that. Also, we have had fundraisers in the past. We had a 5K 2 or 3 years ago. And then this past year, we had a really fun event planned, Boots and Barbecue. And of course, COVID kind of knocked it out. It was scheduled for October. So we're hoping to get something planned and on the books for this year. We're just kind of waiting to see, what the world allows us to actually do. And of course, in a virtual world, it's extremely hard to make connections and raise funds and explain our mission of what we do. So I appreciate you having me on and sharing with everyone.
Definitely. I mean, that's all. I really just want to highlight, people in our community doing good things. We have so many good organizations, so many good people that are doing good things, that are bringing the gospel to so many people. I have the easy part. I just get to talk to people like you and say, hey, you're doing something awesome. Let's talk. So I'm thankful that I get to be able to really help share what you're doing to our listeners, to our viewers, and really hopefully get the word out there of what your organization is doing and at Love Share, and that you're just the amazing stuff. So I'm happy that I can do that and just learn more about it myself, because honestly I didn't know much about Love Share. So I'm glad that I've been educated now and know more about what you all are doing and the good that it's providing right now to hundreds of people every single year. So that is amazing.
Well, we enjoy being the boots on the ground. I
Yeah.
enjoy getting to go to the different countries and speak. When you walk in a church in India, for example, that's probably has 8,000 people in it, and open
Wow.
air, no air conditioning, and just watching them worship and being able to take part in that and being able to help the orphans that are there in that orphanage,
Yeah.
through their local churches, which is amazing as well. It's just such a blessing, and I really enjoy the opportunity to be able to do it. And I count it a privilege that the Lord has chosen me and laid that mission on my heart. So I just want to do the very best that I can for Him and for the children that we serve.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you are definitely doing a lot of good right now for our community and for really beyond, to 7 other countries and maybe more. Maybe there'll be a few more countries hop on in the coming years. Now, I'd like to give you a moment here before we wrap up. I always like to do this at the end, is to really give you an opportunity to share what's on your heart, to share what God has really placed on your heart in this season of life.
During this season of life, the Lord has really just placed on my heart just the overwhelming need of children. We have, you mentioned more countries that we may get more countries. We actually have countries from other orphanages from different countries that have asked us to partner with them, and we're doing good to help support the ones that we have. And it's hard to say no, knowing that there's a need. But at the same time, especially with COVID and everything being virtual, and it's been a challenge just trying to figure out ways to fundraise in a virtual world. That's
Yeah.
been a new thing for a lot of nonprofits I know of. So really our biggest thing is just being able to continue and being able to meet our bottom line,
Yeah.
each month to continue doing the work that we are doing. And ultimately our goal would be to expand it. We have many options for expansion. We
Mhm.
have land in both Kenya and India and in Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
And our kids in India right now are forced basically to go to Muslim schools because
Mhm.
they don't have a Christian school, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of anti-Christians in that community. And our heartbeat is that we would be able to build a school in that community so that not only the kids in our orphanage could go to it, but other kids as well, because um, there isn't one there
Yeah.
in that area. And the same thing is true in Indonesia. We do not have an orphanage that has a Christian school close to it there either. And those kids are in various different schools. India is kind of Indonesia is kind of a melting pot of religions, really.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different religions there, Muslims and Hindus and all different kinds of Buddhists. So there our kids are kind of farmed out in a bunch of different schools, but we have opportunities. We have huge opportunities, and then we have the day-to-day small opportunities,
Yeah.
and we just really want to be able to meet those needs.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad that I was able to talk with you and learn more about it. And I hope that our listeners did as well. And if you're listening to this right now, we will be linking to their website and Facebook and everything in the description of this video. So you can find this video just on our website, wcqr.org, and it'll be on the front page. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see it right there. So you can get connected, partner with them, learn more, and maybe do what you can to help what they are doing over at Love Share. So, Melinda, again, thank you so much for being willing. Thank you for what you're doing and the sacrifices that you're making, and being willing to be on the show here. So, I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.